Welcome to our Breakthrough Podcast, coming to you live from Ohio, taking you from a breakdown to a breakthrough, from pain to purpose, from your past to living your greatest story. Stay locked in. I'm your host, Vernaetaylor. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Vernaetaylor, and you are listening to our Breakthrough Podcast, where we are going to give you the tools and the breakthrough map to go from breakdown to breakthrough, from pain to purpose, from your past to living your greatest story. I'm super excited about the guest we have today, Joevan, and he is amazing. He is in the space of giving and of service, and I'm happy that he is spending time with us today to talk to you guys about what he does. So welcome, Joevan. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad that you're here. You're wearing my favorite color. Purple is royalty. So I love it.
Royalty.
Yes, royalty. It is funny. I love purple, but I don't wear purple. But it looks good on you. So
Thank you.
here we
I
go.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being with us today. So first things first, I want people to know, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so my name is Joevan J. Palmer. I am a life coach. I'm a therapist in training. I am a podcaster. I'm a podcast producer as well. What am I? Just multifaceted, I would say. I do have my hands on a lot of things, but the one thing that's really near and dear to me is in being in the space of healing. That's like my thing. I love it. I love working with people who are on this journey of the manifestation of healing, and that's who I am.
Oh, I love it. I love it. First of all, that healing. You had a lot of buzzwords there that really resonated with me. Journey, healing,
Yeah.
I love that. Again, it is a level of service. Anytime you do some type of therapy,
Mm-hmm.
that's giving. That's a lot of
For sure.
yourself. So I'm glad that you stepped into this space, but tell us, how did it all begin? At what point did you know that you wanted to be in the space of healing? Because it's no easy feat.
Oh no, not at all. I think it's something that I've always been in. I just never knew that it was something that was in until life happened to me, should I say.
Ooh, okay. Talk about
Yeah.
that.
So at the age of 12, I was molested for about a year and a half, 2 years, and it completely just shut me down as an individual. And that was like, I was always like a friend who was always willing to listen, but I was also in search of my identity at a young age as well. So through that time, it's just over years, I've kind of kept that as a secret. What did you say to myself? Didn't tell anybody, just kind of kept it on the low. And then over years, when they as I grew older and started really understanding myself and started, tapping into my inner self, that's when I realized that I had the gift of healing and listening and just providing insight to people who have been going through situations like myself, or just who just go through life situations. That's one of the things that like in college I was a go-to friend to just listen to their people's I won't say problems, but situations. Let's call them situations.
Right. Situation. You being nice about it.
Yeah. That's the healing space. Just really just being that person just who wants to listen, who has a heart to listen, and a heart to give honest and crucial feedback.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That, first of all, that was amazing. And I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. I mean, like, you're right. At 12 years old, you are so young. I mean, they say that the brain of a child is not even really developed by that time.
Not at
So you
all.
can't even imagine an identity. I don't even think I had that word in my wheelhouse, in my language, at that age. So it's amazing that you could tap into that and be able to speak to it now as a man,
Mhm.
and understanding that you can turn that around. So I
Yeah, for
heard you
sure.
say, again, I love that you said, your inner self. How do you describe the inner self? Like, what did that mean to you? Probably not at 12, but what did that mean
Mhm.
to you now? Break that down for some people that's listening that don't know what that is.
Absolutely. So I would say the inner self is the person that we all haven't tapped into as of yet, or is the person that we are trying to tap into because we're trying to break into the being of self person. there's a
Okay.
saying that a friend from college said, just be yourself. And I think a lot of people don't know who they are because society or family or even their status has positioned them to be somebody else that they don't want to be. I
Right.
truly desire authentic people and authentic conversations. And that's who I am. I'm a very raw and transparent person. Anybody who knows me, like when I tell my story, people are like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be asking questions. I'm like, yo, just ask,
Yeah.
because it's my truth that'll set you free. So
Yeah.
it's just when people tap into their inner self and they're around people who understand who they are on the, on that level, somebody who's tapped into the inner, their subconscious, who's somebody who's tapped into who they truly are, is just like you begin to live an authentic life. You begin to become somebody that you've been desiring and yearning to be. I believe there's a
Mhm.
inner person, like an inner child inside of all of us, and we're yearning and we're like reaching for that person, but we can't do it because society says I gotta be this. The family
Yeah.
says I gotta be that. Friends are used to you being this way. Like for me, I'm in this space now with my therapist where I'm trying to break out of this one other space that I've been stuck in for so long, where everyone still sees me as like the reverend or the deacon, because once upon a time
Oh.
I
Are
thought that
you a
was the path.
PK? Are you
No,
a PK? Okay.
not at all. Not at all. I was just raised in the church. My grandfather's a deacon in the church, and
Okay.
I just I was told that was my calling, but when I tapped into my inner self, I realized my calling was the healing space of
Okay.
people. So it's just finding
Wow.
it in a different way. And I think church had me thinking that the only way to work in this space was to be a pastor once upon a time. So that's what a lot of people and family kind of know me by. And I'm trying to break out of that space, as in that's not who I am, because I love to cuss a little bit. I love to have a little drink. It's just I love to be just me. you know.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. The cussing part. Ooh, I be praying every day. Lord, take it from me.
Woo.
Take the road rage from me.
Yeah, so it's a transition. So I believe every phase of life, when you're trying to grow, we're all going through a new transition. Be whole, I'm not completely healed. I'm just in this journey of healing, and I'm in this journey of becoming.
Oh gosh, I love it. First of all, you're a great speaker. I mean, everything that you're saying,
Thank
it's
you.
really hitting home with a lot of what you're saying about the healing and the authenticity. I love that you said
Hmm.
something about the status that we allow these roles, these titles, these
Yes.
letters, these accolades to kind of define who we're going to be. And that may not even be who we really want to be. Like you said,
Right.
people were putting that on you. They're putting pastor, deacon on you. And that may not be who you are authentically or
Hmm.
naturally. So naturally there's going to be a tug of war when
For
someone
sure.
puts something on you and you're really, like you said, yearning for something else. So I think it's interesting. I love that you mentioned that you were doing therapy, because oh my goodness, let's talk about that. Let's unpack that,
Yeah.
because
For sure.
therapy is not something that we talk about between among men and women. It's not something we talk about generally in the Black community. And
Hmm.
then if you want to go a step deeper, it's not something we talk about in the church.
For
So
sure. Definitely.
take me from 12 to some years dealing with that trauma. What was the turning point? What was the age, and what do you think got you to the point where you're like, okay, I need to either tell somebody and let this secret out, or I'm not okay and I need to feel differently and I need to speak to someone about how to get me to that point. When did that
Hmm.
happen for you?
That's a loaded question. I love it.
Oh no.
Uh, so the crazy thing is, growing up, I never knew anything about therapy. Never knew anything about therapy. I don't believe I knew anybody who was going to therapy,
That's
truth be told.
interesting. Okay, wow.
And the way I found my therapist was by coincidence, but by no coincidence, I would say.
Right,
Um,
because there's no coincidence.
so
Some people believe that.
it's
There's no
definitely, yeah.
coincidence. Hmm.
So the thing was, I worked in a group home with teen boys and for foster kids.
Okay.
And if we rewind a little bit, when we talk about trying to find your purpose and stuff like that, I worked in corporate. Corporate did not work out for me. I got fired from corporate, and my prayer was, God, I don't want to do anything else that's outside of my purpose. So when I got back to Atlanta, I was on vacation when I got fired from the job anyway, and I had I was looking for any job that was working with kids. I love working with kids. I did it in college. I did Big Brother Big Sister for like pretty much all my,
Oh,
yeah, all
I
my years of
love
college.
that.
Yeah, it was dope. I really enjoyed it. So I was like, God, this is what I want to do. I want to work with kids. I want to be in this field. I ain't got no experience besides Big Brother Big Sister, but I really want to do this. So I came back to Atlanta. I applied for every job that was in the field. Got so many turn downs, turn downs, turn downs. Finally got a yes.
Okay.
And within the program, it was mandatory that the kids had to go to therapy. And
Oh,
I was like, okay,
nice.
yeah. So we had to take them. He had the opportunity to sit in on their sessions to kind of like listen in. So if the kids said anything, that was triggering, that it maybe it's like a suicidal thought, or something like that, we can go back to
Okay.
my supervisor and directors, let them know like, hey, this is what so and so said today. So after I was sitting inside the session, I'm like, yo, this is really dope. They get a space to just be themselves and just talk and just let their problems out. And I'm like, this is really dope. I love this. And
Yeah.
so I talked to the lady and I was like, can I get in on this? Appointment, and we'll go from
Oh,
there. So
cool.
I sat down and it was like the most awkward feeling ever because I'm finally at the age of like 29, finally
Wow,
letting everything
29.
out. Yeah. So from 12 to 29, I held that in for so long.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, and it was very damaging to my soul because the young me was still screaming out, but I didn't know how
Absolutely.
to answer that scream or answer that call. So I sat down with my therapist and I told her my whole life story from, you know, being molested, living life of homosexuality, um, not knowing where I was on the side of side of the spectrum I was on,
Right.
um, parental stuff that I was dealing with, sibling things I was dealing with, just so much unpacking that I was doing, and
Wow.
she made me feel so welcomed in that space. She made me
Oh,
feel
good.
like I love the way she had positioned everything. She was when I told her, she was like, "Oh, is that it?" And when I say that, some people say, "Well, she kind of like disregarded your feelings," but for
Oh,
me, that was so liberating to know that what I was going through, it
okay.
helped me understand that I wasn't the only one.
Okay, wow. And it's funny because I had that initial inkling in response when I heard you say that she said that. I was like, is that it? Like I was offended. So it's
Yeah,
amazing how you interpreted it and how you received it. And it was more important that you received it in the best of way
for
because
sure, for
she
sure.
was talking to you. So that's pretty interesting. Wow,
Yeah,
but keep
it,
going.
yeah, yeah. So when she said that, and then she got transparent and she shared a part of her life story, like well, I did this and I did that, and I was like, okay, I'm definitely the only one who's experienced this things in my life, and it was just like I said, it's definitely was a divine connection because the things I experienced, she's experienced as well. So it's like it's good to have somebody who you can connect with on that level. And for me, I've always had a strange relationship with men because a guy was the person who molested me. So it's just I've never been able to
Okay.
like fully connect with men. So it was
Okay.
perfect that my therapist was a woman because I connect better with women. Majority of my friends are women.
Wow. Okay.
My best friend is a woman. So
We're
I
the
just
best.
connect
We're the best.
I connect better with black women. Shout out to all black women, the queens of this earth. Um, so yeah, it was just an amazing feeling and so much liberation in that feeling, in that experience, should I say. And I was able to take all of that and now share this story freely. Like when I used to share this story, I would shake.
Wow.
Yeah, I would shake. I would be so nervous.
Of
I would
course.
tremble when I talk. And now it's a free telling story, and it's just I freely share it because I want somebody else to know that whatever you're going through, it's okay. You're not the only person going through
Oh my goodness. First of all, there's so much to unpack there. It's
it.
amazing that you were even given the opportunity. Here it is. You're working in the level of service to these kids. You
Hmm.
are kind of standing by observing and assessing and you said, "Can I partake?" And the fact that you were given that opportunity is amazing, right?
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
know where that ever happened. So it's funny when you said the coincidence. Yeah, it does seem like a bit of a coincidence. Like, where does that happen ever? Like I've
Yeah.
never heard of that happening that way. But you're right. It was the divine purpose that you were linked with that specific person that could speak to what it is that you were going through.
Yeah.
And I love that she made you feel like you're not alone and that she
Mm-hmm.
could relate. And I think that's really interesting because not everybody that's in the space of counseling and therapy, not all of them allow themselves to be vulnerable as well
Right.
and meet you where
Yeah.
you are. And I think that's always the amazing part when you're trying to seek help. I always say we're overcome by each other's testimonies. So you basically just exemplified that with that story, that with you being able to talk to her, I love that you use the word liberated, because we all really need to liberate ourselves. I mean, we always say like the truth will set you free, and it sounds cliche,
Yeah,
but
but
it
it's so
really
true.
did just it set you free. I mean,
Yeah.
from 12 to 29, I'm trying to wrap my brain around the time frame, like how different you are of a person as a preteen to a 29-year-old young man, essentially. All the things that happen in your life, whether it's school, sports, dating, like, oh my goodness, there's so many things, and that you were holding on to it, and it really was bondage. So,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, it's amazing that you got to a place where you said, you're not trembling anymore, you're standing in your power, and now you are telling your story. So, how long were you there helping these kids? And when did you know, okay, I don't want to work for this company or this organization? I want to fulfill the vision that God has given me, right? When
Mm-hmm.
when did that turning point happen?
So I think for me, I guess I'm hard headed a little bit. So things have to happen in order for me to actually make my next move. So
What kind of things?
just so, so
You
it,
wanted
like
something to come out from the sky and God saying,
it's just I'll be knowing. I definitely be knowing, but it's just I don't move because I love to be in a place of comfort and stability.
yeah, don't we all?
So it's like when I was to leave, once I got it, literally told, I heard it clear as day. God said it, your time is up, and I know exactly what God was talking about.
Wow. So you heard it audibly. Audibly, you heard it.
All the way clear. And then
It's
this is
crazy when
this,
people say that. I be wanting to hear. I would be wanting God to talk to me, and I'm like, God,
yeah,
why can't I hear you like other people be hearing you,
I
loud and
believe we
clear?
hear. We hear, we just don't want to listen.
Okay,
So
that's
this
probably
is
right.
the time when I was at a church and I was to just leave, and God was like, "Yo, your time's up," and I was like, "Ooh," but I know there's so many people here, and then so it was just got to the point where things just got real crazy at that church at that time, and I just had to leave. And then, like
Mm,
fast forward to the job, I would, truth be told, I would still be that job to this day if they didn't shut that group home down.
really? Now, how long were you at this group home? Now, this group home was affiliated specifically with the Big Brothers, the Boys and
No,
Girls Club.
Big Brother Big Sister was in college.
Oh,
The group
okay.
home was a very reputable company here in Atlanta
Okay.
where they help teenage moms, teen boys, and teen girls who are in foster care.
Okay.
So I worked in there as a residential advisor for about 3 years, and
Okay.
I loved that job. I mean, I was getting paid like 10,
Oh,
15 an hour. My commute to work was almost a whole hour. That's how much I
wow.
love.
That's
Yeah, I
you
love
really
that.
did love that job.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I love that job. It was just helping those kids and seeing them, transform their lives, and just seeing them find their inner strength was
Okay.
just it. It was something I loved doing. I had a great supervisor. He's a great friend to this day, more like a brother, and he showed me the ropes. He took a chance on me when he hired me, and he
Mm.
promoted me to a different position where I was helping the kids find mentors. Then once he left, he gave me, he put a great word in me for me to take on his role as supervisor of the group home. So I was managing a group home,
Wow.
and I got a
And you
call
were
from
and you were like around what 30 at that time? How old
I
were you
was,
then?
about 30, yeah, 31, yeah,
Wow. You were
yeah,
managing the group home. That's
hmm
heavy right there. That's a major
yeah.
responsibility. Anytime you
But
work
for
with
some
children.
reason, it was just like it was so easy for me. The hardest part wasn't the kids. The hardest part was working with the staff.
Oh, I believe it.
that
I believe it.
was the hardest part. I love them kids. Those kids were like kids to me. So it was just working with them, hearing their problems, them crying some nights, them they're having the outbreaks.
Wow.
It was like it just came natural to me to work with them and just really hear their problems and find a solution for them. So when they closed the group home down, I left and I went to go work for DFAX for about a year and a half.
Okay.
So and then I already started like being in the coaching space because I had got my life coaching certification. When
Oh,
I first got
nice.
to, yeah, back in 2013, I got my life coaching certification. So I already knew I wanted to do something. I just did it.
Okay.
I just never knew the how.
Well, let's
You know,
talk
that's like
about that. First of all, the certification. Shout out to that. Okay. Shout out to like you are like you're certified and official.
for
Talk
sure.
to me about that though. Like what was that process like? How long was it? How did you even find like a program? Like who led you to the resource to be like, "Oh,
Mhm.
this is the thing. I can do that. I can pursue this and this can be like this can be official." Talk about
Yeah,
that.
so my first mentor that I've ever no, it's not my first mentor I ever had. My second mentor, I believe, when I first moved to Atlanta, his name was Daryl Scriven. Very great friend to this day. More like another like guy who turned to a brother. He
Yeah.
was just really he introduced me to entrepreneurship. And
Oh,
from there, it was like, okay, this is what entrepreneurs do. Like he let me hang with him for a whole day and see life ins and outs of being an entrepreneur. And he was just like, you gotta go to
wow.
conferences, you gotta research stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. So I came across Tony Gaskins at the time, and I had
Oh, I
just
remember
missed the death.
him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like back in the day, he was, I don't know what happened with him. He kind of faded
I
out a little bit.
know he kind of fell off. Every now and then I see him pop up and he says
Yeah,
something, but yeah, I think he started laying low. I'm not sure why though.
I don't know. I missed the deadline for his program, so I was so determined to find one. So I found they had a 2 day intensive boot camp with a
Oh,
guy named Dr. Ron Mitchell. I think his name is like
okay.
Ron, Dr. Ron Mitchell. I think his last, I believe his last name is Dr. Mitchell, but it's Dr. Ron. And he had a 2 day intensive where he like, I think this was the right one for me because they taught a program called Logical Soul, and it teaches you
Mm,
how to do the inner
logical
work of
soul.
this. Yeah. And it's a book as
Interesting.
well you can find as well called
Okay.
Logical Soul. And it
Mm-hmm.
teaches you how to do the inner works of the soul and how to, as a life coach, how to connect with a person's soul. Like you go deeper into just like the basis of like most people say, oh, I'm a life coach, and they just kind of give you like the basics. It
Yeah.
was more so that he got to the core, and I was, like the first half of the day, I was like, yo, this is amazing. This is dope. I can't wait until later. And so I became so you get certified in 2 days for the intensive boot camp. It was all day for 2 days. And I just still didn't
Mm.
know the how of the works, like he taught us the how, but it was just I had so much going on, like still trying to figure out entrepreneurship and trying to figure out how to run a business. That was the only piece that was missing was the how to run the business beside from that coach, from that
Okay.
certification. So I got involved with other entrepreneurs like David Shands and Brandon Dixon, Marcus Malone, like a lot of people who have been entrepreneurs for some
Now, how
time.
did you meet these guys? You can't just be running past David Shan, okay, who runs like one of the highest rated podcasts, in his space as a black
Yeah,
male entrepreneur. So talk about that. Like, you don't just bump into like a dude, like that,
for
and
sure.
by happenstance, perhaps. But then again, you were in that market. You were in Atlanta. Like that's like the hub. So tell me
Yeah.
how you met him and how and other entrepreneurs that helped you.
Yeah, so I was working at a call center for Apple at the time, and a friend of mine, her name is
Oh,
Janice. We were talking just talking entrepreneurship stuff and just talking about dreams and goals. And I was like, I always wanted to do a t-shirt line, but I just never knew how to do it. And she's like, "Oh, you need to follow my friend. He's from Jersey, but he lives in Atlanta. His name is David Shans. He go by the name of Steves for Suckers." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I followed him on Instagram, and I saw that he was having a conference here. I think it was like his first ever conference he put on, and I paid
wow.
for the ticket, went to the conference. I think it was my first ever conference I ever went to that I paid for, I believe, outside
How
of
much
college.
was it? How much was
It wasn't much. I was like, it was like it had to be like a couple $100, like maybe like
it?
a
Okay, okay.
$97 ticket. It wasn't nothing
Now it's
crazy.
like the prices went up. It's like
Oh, for
$50,000.
sure, the price is definitely going up. So I sat in the front because I was always told in college, if you want to be an A student, you got to sit in the front. So I got there early. I mean, I was there so early to the point where they were still setting up early.
Wow, you was
Yeah.
really like eager. That's what's up. You
Yeah,
was
I was
hungry.
very eager. I was really this hungry stage at that time in my life, just really just trying to figure it out. And I met a friend. So David does this thing where he likes people to always network at his events, regardless whatever event David hosts. It's always gonna be a networking piece. So behind me was a guy named Marcus and a guy named Eric, and we were just talking about what we want to do and everything like that. And Marcus had Marcus had been close to David because he worked at the kiosk with David. So,
Okay, I remember
so
that.
at the time, David had a coaching program called Sleepless Nights, and Marcus said, "Yo, you need to join the program, man. He's gonna really help you grow your business and help you figure everything out." So I was like, "I bet." At the time, you can sign up for $1, and I missed it by like a few minutes, and it was like $129 a month.
Oh, from $1 to 120.
Yes, I had just missed it. I was procrastinating,
Oh
like, "Ooh, y'all
man.
gonna do this?" And so I got an email saying, "Hey, Joevan, you missed the dollar trial, but you can't sign up for 129." I was like, "Okay, whatever." Kinda, 'cause I was just, I need to learn. I needed to
That's
learn.
what's up.
So through that, David had a vision board party one day. So I went to the vision board party at the E-complex, and he was saying that, if you have a hard time finding, like, building a team, join a team. So at the time, I
Mm.
was still new to Atlanta, really didn't know a lot of people. So I raised my hand. I was nervous, and I was like, "Do y'all need help?" He was like, "Yes," and I was like, "Bet." In my head, I was like, "Bet." He was like, "Get with Janae. She's able to do." So I did some back end stuff for David, like, as far as, like, the billing and stuff for Sleepless Nights. I finished that up like within like a month, I believe it was, and then after
Oh,
that,
that's what's up with the
yeah,
skills.
bro, for sure, for sure. The corporate skills kicked in.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah, so I started managing the complex after that, and then it was just, that was it. It was just from there. It's just been going up. Now I'm like the back end, behind the scenes guy for his podcast, for his clothing
Yeah.
brand, and so we've been friends and brothers since for about 5 years now.
Oh my goodness, that's so amazing.
Yeah,
Wow, you've done a lot. You've done a
yeah,
lot. I mean,
yeah.
you still look young. You still look like a baby. So I'm like
The
trying to
grades
figure
are
it
slowly
out.
creeping in though.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, oh wow, you've done a lot. But I mean, that's what it's all about. Like really just tapping into what is the assignment? Why are you
Hmm.
here?
Yeah,
Why
for
did
sure.
God design you? I think we learned with the pandemic, like we just don't have time. We've
Yeah.
lost so many people that they didn't have to be sick, they didn't have to be old, they were great people and just
Hmm.
gone. Just like that. And so it's important that like you tapped into, like you knew already at a young age that there was something and that you
Yeah,
wanted to
sure.
tap into it, and then you went out to get it. I mean, you dropped
Hmm.
so many gems. I definitely, and that's why I've been taking notes, because I'm like, I definitely want to reiterate some of these things while we wrap up here,
Definitely.
so the people that are listening, they know like, okay, I could do this, I could do that,
Hmm.
or maybe that tool resonated with me. And so people know what this is. And I love, like you said, that it's a journey. It really
For
is. It's
sure.
a
It's
process.
definitely a
it's
journey.
it's
Yeah,
trial and error. What may work for him may not work for you. What may work for you may not work for
absolutely.
me. But it is just about keeping moving forward. So I absolutely love that. So for those that are listening, I definitely want to wrap up and reiterate some of the things that he said. So first off, I love that you were persistent. We talked about from 12 to 29. You did not give up on yourself. From 12 to 29, you did not allow the shame or anything to, the shame of like somebody when they hurt you. You
Hmm.
feel the shame, which is
Yeah.
it's backwards. You shouldn't feel anything because you
Right.
you didn't
Right.
do anything wrong, but you didn't allow that to bury you, right? You didn't allow
Hmm.
whatever the secret that you're holding on to, you didn't allow it to define you. And what I really like, you hearken to God's voice. Like you said, when I heard move, I moved. Like, and how
Yeah.
many of us don't do that often, and we don't do it as quickly. So first of all, the fact that you hearkened your voice, I mean, you hearkened your ears, you attuned your ears to hear from God.
Hmm.
Even if you didn't move right away, you were still listening for it. So I
Yeah,
thought
for
that was
sure.
amazing. I love that you took a chance and you talked to somebody. Like, man, the level of trust that took, the level of courage it took to be vulnerable with that person and to really speak your truth, and then to be liberated. That was my
Hmm.
favorite. Just being liberated, telling your truth, standing on your truth, and then retelling it over and over again. You found more power. You
Yeah.
regained more power. You regained more strength. So that was amazing. And then I love that when you knew that you wanted to kick into another gear, into another level, you're like, okay, well, I got to find other people that are on other levels. And so you found that and you decided to pursue the life coaching, which I thought is amazing, to just be certified and to be an expert in your space, like really expert and really
Yeah.
certified. Because I tell
Hmm.
you, there's a lot of people out here,
They
like,
out
I'm
here.
not going to say no names, but there's some people out here that are really, really big people that are taking our money right now, honey, and they still not certified. So shout out to you
Hmm.
for even having the fortitude and to do that, because it's just like
Thank
with
you.
pursuing your education and advancing your education, that's not
Hmm.
easy. And then landing on what I love when you said that you met with David Shands, you met all these other amazing entrepreneurs, and you got in groups. And I love that he said, when you have a hard time building a team, join a team. So whether that means it's a team, whether it's a squad, whether it's, a tribe, it's your people that can support
Absolutely.
you in the midst of it. I talked about this with women. I'm like, thank God for women. Thank God for sisterhood. Thank God for groups where we can come together and we can talk for real about what we're going through. So this is on you now. I want you to tell the people where they can find you, how
Hmm.
they what you got going on right now in your business that you're really offering, and how they can get liberated and healed like you have. Okay.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, so you can find me on all social platforms, Joevan J Palmer. That's Instagram, Facebook. Twitter is without the J because my old Twitter got hacked.
Uh-oh. Oh, you must be real big now. You're getting hacked.
I guess so. I guess so. But yeah, all social handles either Joevan Palmer or Joevan J Palmer. You can find me at joevanjpalmer.com. And I'm in the process of building a digital coaching program, what takes you through point A to point Z, that helps you find your liberation as well and find that healing and help you understand yourself on a deeper level. So it'll be an online digital program where you can just go through these modules. You can pause, play, however it's self-guided. I don't a lot thing about a lot of coaching programs are they're live programs, which I do love, but I believe when you're in this healing space, sometimes you need space to really just reflect. And if you can just pause for a moment, because sometimes life doesn't allow us to pause. It allows we gotta just keep going, keep going. But if you can just pause in this space of healing and say, okay, I need to reflect on when I was 12, what happened? Who was I when I was 13? The same in 14 and 15 and so on.
Okay.
So I'm building this online digital program where you can be healed, and just follow me on social media. You can find out when I launch it next year. And I want you to find your healing. I really want you to. It's the best thing ever. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I will never stop talking about it because it's done so much for me, and it can do so much for you as well.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you heard it here. We have Joevan, that's Joe with an accent over the E, VAN, J Palmer. Okay, across all social media platforms. Definitely tap into what he's doing. Follow him so that you can be the first person to plug into this coaching program that he has.
Thank you for tuning in to our Breakthrough Podcast, where we learn to navigate life's challenges and dare to live our greatest story. Follow our Breakthrough Podcast across all media platforms and subscribe. I'm your host, Vernaetaylor. Till next time, keep breaking through.